Hey there, everyone. This is James with BerryFlow.com. I'm here with the gang on BerryFlow Upstream number 24. Here with Alex, Brandon, Darius, and Ronell.
What's up? What's up?
What's up?
What's
Yeah.
up?
So, how are you guys doing today?
Pretty good. Pretty good. Just
Yeah, can't
relaxing.
complain.
It's Sunday. Yeah.
It's been a pretty chill Sunday. Like, I woke up around 12 and just kind of stumbling on throughout the day from here on. It's kind of a light week overall. We don't have too much to cover. We tossed out some topic ideas to our BerryFlow BBM channel. We got some feedback there for some topic points. So let's get started. Let's talk about the appointment of Carrier Sales Senior Vice President. Overall, kind of a small news announcement. But carrier sales is definitely something we need to see. I mean, especially stateside. I really don't know what the carrier sales portfolio kind of platform underneath right now for the U.S. is. What do you guys think about an appointment such as that?
I mean, it's stateside. It's it's always like the topic of discussion when it comes to BlackBerry because, of course, because of the market share situation. But um, when you have the exclusive devices, well, the latest devices out there from BlackBerry, and they're not available on all the carriers because you have the BlackBerry consumers or loyalists that are kind of spread amongst them. And when they can't get their hands on one specific device because they carry only because their carrier only carries this specific device, and I'm on AT&T, I want a Z30, but I don't have Verizon, or I want a Z10 and I'm on Sprint, so I can't get it because I can only get the Q10. It kind of sucks. But I think a lot of it has to do with when BlackBerry kind of tries to sell these devices to the carriers. They look at their numbers and they say, which of our consumers has these devices and which ones really want them. And I think it comes down to a lot of that. And at some point, one, we know BlackBerry's focus isn't even there. So with them trying to even sell these devices to carriers, it's not even going to be that much of a fight, so to speak. I mean, of course, they would love for them to carry all their devices, but at the end of the day, they don't really try. They pick and choose which battles they want to try to fight, and that's not really one of them. So I know a lot of people are upset because there are a lot of Verizon customers who are BlackBerry loyalists and they want the passport, but unfortunately aren't able to use it. And it's not really any light of day, especially when you're hearing like the classic and the pre-orders only for GSM devices. It really kind of sucks. So it really sways your consumers from one end to the other, but at the same time, I mean, me personally, I feel with the Classic, it should be available on all carriers because it's that transitioning device. And you have those legacy users on all carriers. So you want to bring them over to the new platform. So how better to do that than having the, Classic released on all those carrier platforms in order to, make that transition for them. But, it's an iffy subject.
I kind of feel as if, if they can have the GSM side covered on Shop BlackBerry through Digital River and Amazon, and they go with a carrier exclusive on CDMA to bring that into carrier stores, it would do well, I think, for maybe Verizon, even Sprint. I mean, Sprint's been MIA. I think the only BlackBerry 10 device they've launched is the Q10.
Right.
So if they were maybe to upgrade to a Classic, get the Z30 people who are maybe looking at a new device with a different input experience to jump to a Classic, it might be a valuable proposition. A lot of people wonder kind of what happened with Verizon, like why aren't they supporting the Passport? I think with a device like the Passport, it is rather polarizing. I think you bring that to Verizon, they're like, I really just don't know how many of this we're going to be able to sell, even in store.
Right.
It's such a small scratch compared to the big business they're doing with a lot of the other platforms out there.
Mm-hmm.
So with a carrier exclusive, it seems that they're buying all that product ahead of time. They own that product. It doesn't count as sell-through. It's really just the carrier's ability to make back what they've invested in it, so to speak. So it's an interesting sales strategy going for exclusives such as that. I'd like to see definitely Verizon or some carrier come out with a device here stateside. It may not be an official thing where it's actually available in store, but I think it would be positive at least for one carrier to come on board so people have a direction to go. I know there's a lot of people on Verizon rocking BlackBerry 10 devices.
And I think with the initial launch of BlackBerry 10, it kind of scared carriers, kind of after that fact, because it wasn't off to the launch that I don't even think BlackBerry expected it to be, and as well as the carriers. I think the carriers expected it to be a little something different, a bit more successful. But I've always said that a huge part of that success not really being there is because there weren't many options from the jump, and it didn't happen when it should have happened initially. I feel like when you launch something and you announce something, it has to happen pretty much immediately. You can't wait months because people don't care much later. They care now, especially in today's world. Like, it doesn't matter what it is. If you tell me something about it now, I want it soon. And they got the passport. They got the passport launch right. They finally got something right, and that's why you've seen the success of the device. Now, let's say BlackBerry 10 launched in January of 2013. If it had launched February 1st, then it would have been okay, but it didn't. We didn't see it until March, April time frame-ish. So a couple months later, after the fact, people are kind of like, the big buzz is over, whatever. We seen what you guys are doing, but only the real loyalists, are the ones who truly care about it. So I think it's a lot of things that play into it, and it sucks, but you live and you learn, honestly.
Mhm.
It's just an interesting point for them. Chen seems to be pulling in a lot of the faithful from his SAP Sybase transition. Obviously, the sale there for billions of dollars over to SAP of Sybase. He's pulling in a lot of the mobile 365 guys. So a lot of those that have kind of an understanding on the software side of the enterprise game they're about to try to play. I mean, when we look at their revenues and how they're trying to expand, it really seems that the predominant moving force going forward is going to be services. Devices obviously allow them to offer that end-to-end solution for users, but really the money that they're going to be bringing in is with things like BBM and obviously some of the service things that they've got attached to Bez. So when we look forward, do you guys think that Thorsten Heins, the previous CEO, kind of laid a bedrock foundation for all of this? Heins has just come out in an interview saying that he was working with Powermat as their new CEO to kind of get the startup off the ground. It's like a QI wireless type alternative. What do you guys think of the transition, and what do you guys think of Heins? Supposedly the Passport was one of the last devices him and his teams designed and Chen brought to market. So do you guys think that has an impact on BlackBerry's strategy going forward, or do you think they're going to kind of bring that all together?
It's hard to say. Like Heinz time was a lot different to how it is now. I think he had a strategy and they had their end goal and they weren't able to meet it, so they had to switch strategy. So it's kind of hard to compare and say, oh, they're finishing off his time. I think a lot of things changed in the near future. Sorry, not the near future, but in the past couple months, and Chen has turned it around, and that's based on the whole strategy change from when Heinz left to when he took over, right? So it's hard to say. I don't think so, though. I think he's on to new things, and hopefully he does good with Powermat. I mean, I don't know how big Powermat is right now in the States or in Canada. So yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to speak on this a bit. Let's remember when Thorsten Heins came on to be the CEO of BlackBerry. He was kind of put in at a really rough time where his hands were kind of tied. He had to release BlackBerry 10 as quick as possible, just because the marketplace it had already been delayed, and he needed to get something out the doors so that the investors and everybody kind of had some confidence in the company. So in reality, his hands were kind of tied with what he could really do, and now what we're seeing now is a lot of the foundation that he was able to set up post-launch, and I think he gets a bad rap for a lot of stuff that his predecessors had laid the foundation for, and he just kind of had to go through the motions and kind of focus on the future, but at the same time be very much in the now or in the present at that time, and release BlackBerry 10 with the Z10 and the Q10. And I think he just gets a bad rap for that. And I think a lot of the stuff we're seeing now, for instance, the Passport, is a great device that has gotten people talking about BlackBerry, which they hadn't been talking about in a long time. But lots of people are kind of like, oh, have you seen the Passport? It's got a cool new form factor and all this stuff. And I think maybe he just got a bad rap for the abysmal BlackBerry 10 launch that we can all acknowledge wasn't the best product launch, given the cards he was dealt.
As As you mentioned, it was a kind of a rush deal. Most platforms, when you're building them from the ground up, take upward of 5 years. I mean,
Yeah.
they slam that thing together. If you count Playbook, like 3 years. So it was half baked when it went out. I mean, they had to acknowledge that fact themselves. And I think as part of his failed strategy, kind of rolling that out, it's like I can't spend hundreds of thousands of millions of dollars on marketing something that's half baked, even if it gets me more users.
Yeah, sir. And by the way, let's not forget, Thorsten was the one who did the first steps to getting BBM out there cross-platform. And we all see how much potential there is now for BBM and how much it's expanded since last October, right? Not this past October, the previous October, right? And I mean, he was the CEO at the time that kind of got that in motion to go. So I mean, there's a lot of things that didn't go well, but once again, that's one aspect that I think I forgot about, and all of us forget about, is BBM. That was kind of something he specifically really brought out.
Absolutely, and supposedly that was something that Bullpen Frank, the CMO, was actually begging for. He said, I have no budget here to really do anything, as per actually making these campaigns, aside from keep moving projects and all of those, which obviously were an investment of trying to get gauge and grasp that consumer interest. Bullpen was trying to leverage BBM as some way to advertise BlackBerry across devices. And again, that's kind of why they took on the BB10 UI styling. We look now at that. We look at the current enterprise strategy, and that maybe isn't the best move for them to have done. It's just interesting, as we mentioned, a lot of the groundwork for what we are seeing come to market now was laid in by the teams that Thorsten Heins was leading. Chen's obviously taken some of those teams, streamlined the whole organization, and now they're focusing on a lot of those derivatives. Thorsten Heins was the CEO who said tablets are going to be dead within 5 years, and mobile computing is going to be at the forefront of what we do with our cellular devices. And as we see when more devices come out, we see Samsung Flow, we see Apple's Continuity, we see BlackBerry Blend. We do see kind of this mobile computing where the phone is doing most of the legwork for you. So I think he was on to something. He may not have been the executioner that we needed to kind of go and get this done, but I do have to appreciate, and I think he appreciates the time that he put in the last 2 years, really bringing this platform out of kind of the Stone Age for which it was stuck. I like the guy, and I wish him obviously the best of luck with Powermat.
Yeah.
So do you guys happen to see any... Yeah, what was that, Brandon?
The only thing I will say about Thorsten Heins is that he was a great guy and everything, but I do think maybe his showmanship, his public speaking on the stage, he didn't really have that going forward. And I think John Chen, the contrast we see with John Chen is that he's a very personable guy, and when he's on the stage talking, he's someone that makes you like him. Whereas Thorsten Heins, he was a very smart guy, and he did a lot of things behind background, but he didn't leverage the people that he had, like a Jeffrey Gadway, to come on stage and start talking about lots of things, which I think John Chen is just better overall at conveying the message compared to Thorsten Heins. And I think it's just a difference in their strategies and how they deal with things.
He's also very quick on his feet. I mean, the fact that he throws jokes in there, it sounds like just like a little thing, but really the fact that he can hold himself on stage, I haven't seen him nervous at all. He can throw out jokes, and even if he says a joke and no one laughs, he'll call himself out on it. Like, I don't know, the guy has no fear because he's been doing this all his life, it seems. So it's just the way that he holds himself makes it easier to believe in BlackBerry and believe that he's doing a good job. So I mean, really, that's not a problem with Thorsten at all. It's just I'm sure it's tough to find a CEO like that.
Yeah.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
He seems like he's super down to earth. Whereas Heins was obviously saying a script a lot of the times he was speaking.
Yeah.
Obviously Chen still has a script that he's kind of laid out, but he's so much more honest and genuine with it, I feel. And that's really what I think investors and users alike kind of see with him. He's going to give you what you want. He's going to tease the device for you. He's going to let you take the photos of it, even when the event is totally focused on a different side of spectrum and of what BlackBerry's doing. Smart guy. I'm really excited to see kind of where he goes in the longevity of BlackBerry kind of going out. Is this going to be a CEO for the next 10 years of BlackBerry, or are we going to see him move maybe to a director type of position for which he was originally hired by Prem Watsa? What do you guys think? Where do you guys see Chen in a couple years from now?
Not the CEO. Probably, that's for sure. he's probably gonna take his paycheck and go relax somewhere because it'll be probably one of the biggest turnarounds in like history. If you think about it, a lot of people like BlackBerry's been written down so many times. It's not even funny. So to see the company how it is right now, it already is a turnaround. So I think when he's done, he's gonna pass it off to somebody who's smarter or as smart as him, and someone who will bring the company into a different direction again to make sure that they're set for the future and have everything all in order. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I don't think he's gonna just go and retire though or anything. Like people like him, like he's already set for life. I'm sure, just turning around SAP and everything, he's so set for life. But people who like him and like entrepreneurs, like I consider CEOs of companies entrepreneurs, they can't just shut the switch off and go and relax on an island. He's going to constantly be working one way or another. He might just be on the board eventually of BlackBerry, and he might be trying another turnaround for another company. Like I don't ever really see him getting out of the game. I think he's going to be one of the people that will be on his deathbed still thinking about companies and like what he can do to help them and everything.
Yeah, and you know what? That's definitely why he's probably, currently being so successful with the job, is because he doesn't really need to be the CEO of BlackBerry, to move on in his life, right? He's doing it because it's a challenge that he thoroughly, he really wants to do, and it interests him to be able to pull the company back from where it is, make it go forward and have a positive impact on the company. I think that's what it is. He's not just like stepping on, thin ice or anything. It's just kind of making his own path for the company.
Yeah, I think he'll always have like an advising position, irregardless of what his, true position in the company is, irregardless after the fact. He has, he's so savvy in terms of, from a business perspective, in his intelligence, man, is very remarkable. He's a guy that really knows numbers. He not only knows numbers, but he understands trends, and he understands what it really takes to make money, from whatever your prerogative is. So if my prerogative is to sell lemons, then he's going to tell you how to sell lemons the best way. And in terms of his intelligence, he does his research. He looks on the back ends of other businesses and how they succeeded in their success stories. So he's one guy. He's not one dimensional at all. Like it's one thing about Chen that I really like about him and admire about him, is that he respects the entire playing field, regardless of what he says. He can throw little cheap shots and jabs and things of that nature, cool, because of course you want to rep your home team, so to speak, and you'll throw jabs at the competition, but at the same time he respects everyone, and he understands like you have to, because it's not a fair playing field in the business world, clearly, but beyond the fact that he puts faith in what he truly believes in, and he's blatantly honest. He will let you know when his chips are down that they're down. That yeah, we're looking better than we are now, but we're going to lose more money in the near future. So pretty much expect it. Don't be surprised, or don't be butthurt when it happens. So that's one thing you can have about him. But I think he will always remain as an advisor for BlackBerry, and I hope that he does. To keep that focus there, so that they don't get off focus and lose their roots once again, trying to chase the consumer and chase dollars in another perspective that they're not at. That's just not what they truly want at the end of the day.
And you're exactly right, Darius. They don't want to just be chasing these flippant dollars.
Right.
So it's just interesting that now we have a BlackBerry that's chasing very like specific dollars. We've got a device built for this value segment. We know one for this value segment. With a device like the Classic, have any of you guys seen any of those video teasers that Donnie's put out on Inside the BlackBerry blog? We saw keyboard shortcuts with 10.3.1. You can set keys to launch different apps. Really cool stuff. You can long press C and it'll actually shoot up a compose window. It's just some cool stuff overall. I want to try to show it off here. We'll leave the application. You're at the active frame screen. You can just long press C when you let go, it'll automatically pull in a card, and this is the compose card, so you can automatically go over to an option. We'll head back to the home screen, and I'm going to hold down N, and you'll see it'll auto long press and bring up BBM. You can do this with a couple different applications built within the OS, and on Classic it's even better because you can set speed dial codes with the Alt key, so you can do like Alt 7 automatically launches something. So you've got even more and more you can do. Seems like a pretty cool device, and again, as Darius had mentioned, when going toward that specific demographic where the money is, they're building something like the Classic that is a throwback to 2 years or 3 years ago's device, you know? Just interesting that they're still kind of targeting that segment. What do you think really makes the BlackBerry Classic a need right now for BlackBerry to even be bringing to the market?
Transitioning those legacy users. That's its sole purpose. If you ask me, like, what else is the purpose of a Classic? You bring back a device that mimics the Bold up and down and just runs BlackBerry 10, software. What else is the other purpose of it? It's only to transition, those users. There's no other bigger purpose. It's not. It's like it doesn't have a purpose like the Passport to work wide. That's not its case. It wasn't to jumpstart things like the Z10 or the Q10 and just introduce the platform and the OS. It doesn't have a purpose but to transition those legacy users. So, other than that, is it going to make money? Of course, it's going to make money in the enterprise, spectrum. Like that's the core ideal of where they need to sell it to. Is it for consumers? No, but is it going to sell to consumers? Yes, because it's pretty budget friendly as well. It's not like the low end budget, but it's middle. It's not too expensive where people are like, I got to kind of save my chips for it. It's something that's very affordable, has great use. Specs wise, it's nothing that is truly outdated. It's in terms of the OS, it complements the OS. Z10 is in the Q10; those are still great devices. Its software is still great because it complements the OS so well. The OS doesn't, it isn't heavily spec driven, so to speak. So, in terms of its optimization, especially with 10.3.1, you're getting everything that you really need in the device. You're getting a quarterly, keyboard. You're getting a tool belt that's going to allow you to your productivity within the software to be that much smoother and that much faster. But not only that, you're getting a touchscreen and a gesture, interface as well with the device. So, but at the end of the day, it's just truly for transitioning those legacy users. That's really its only sole purpose.
Yeah, I think a few people are thrown off a bit by the pricing of the Classic. Like, obviously, this is for primarily enterprise and to switch people over, so the pricing isn't ridiculous by any means. But you need to keep in mind too that say the Classic never existed, or like another touchscreen trackpad BlackBerry never existed, they would have never had to put the development costs into the OS to optimize it for that. Think about how long we've known that a Classic is going to come out and how long it's taken for us to even see the OS in action with it. Like, there's a lot of time that development that goes into the OS to make it all of a sudden go from an all-touch platform, all of a sudden go and work with the trackpad. Like, there's so much cost into that. They need to also charge more for the BlackBerry Classic in order to make up for some of the development costs for it to be worthwhile. So they couldn't just go and throw it out the door at, $300. And I think that's partially, part of the reason for the cost as well.
Well, the Classic is it's going to be a statement device. It's not just for enterprise. It's not just for those legacy users. It's a statement device. And somebody's going to take a Classic and be able to do almost everything that they used to do with their old Bold, but they get to have Instagram. They got all their Android apps and all that stuff, and it's on a device that looks like a Bold, right? It's a huge statement, right? And people are going to be looking at people with Classics and like, wow, that's awesome. That's sweet. I remember when, I hear that so many times when I'm out there. I remember when I had my Bold or my BlackBerry Curve, and then I couldn't do this and I couldn't do that, and then I switched. A lot of people are going to be looking at it now and be like, wow, so BlackBerry is back. You know what I mean?
It's that same input experience they loved, and now you can run all the Android apps you may need.
Exactly.
And it's like, is that the only value proposition there is for BlackBerry 10? Enhanced multitasking and productivity and Android apps? Like, where do you guys find the value for this is really going to come? I think really it comes down to the security aspect. Aside, a lot of us don't take advantage of or don't really make use of. But really, when you attach it to a BES, that's where the value is. So for the enterprise customers, as Ronell said, it is going to be a throwback not only for the consumers but the enterprise users as well, who were so used to and productive on that legacy bold experience. So I absolutely agree, Ronell.
Yeah.
I think part of the benefit too is that it's a newer platform. Like I think we've talked about it before that it's a microkernel, and then like iOS is getting so old at this point in time, which they're just they're grinding at it, and it's a good operating system. The thing is they've been able to optimize it to not need that much RAM and everything. But I'm sure there will become a point, 5-10 years down the line, where they might have to go and redevelop their OS from the ground up and maybe build security in it. Like there might, 10 years in the future now, like security might be a humongous thing where we can't even fathom right now. But there becomes a point in time where these these people who are on top right now, like Apple and Android, they might have to go from the ground up and rebuild it, and then that's where BlackBerry has the advantage because they've already done this and they've gone through all the crap, where people are saying, well, this isn't working because it's such a new OS, but they've gone through the hurdles and they're getting to the point where they're finally at the same level of the competition. That's definitely a big plus for them.
Mm-hmm.
Knocking down the hurdles is an absolute must. I mean, we need to get feature parity with the basic offerings of all the other platforms, or else we can't call ourselves competitive. So I absolutely agree with that.
You also have to exceed that as well. You have to exceed
Absolutely.
expectations as well. I mean, like, the reason the iPhone 4, and I say the iPhone 4 because that was a pinnacle year where the iPhone, really a lot of people started noticing it, is because they brought in a whole bunch of new things that people weren't expecting, and it was new things. It wasn't just the old things that BlackBerry or Android had already. And so BlackBerry right now, they're getting pretty close to that parity in terms of the OS, but they also have to expand on that. So when I say expand, I'm looking towards Blend, BlackBerry Protect, different features with BBM as well that they need to expand on and exceed. You can't just catch up. That's not good enough nowadays.
Yeah, and just to tag on that, I mean, that $1.3 billion which they're using for R&D, I mean, we probably heard of a couple of things that they might be working on or what they could be working on with IoT, but you never know what might come out next for consumers. They might have something to surprise us all next year when it comes March or April. So I definitely think we have to look out for that for sure. New things to come.
Always. They as Thorsten Heins would say, they keep moving. It was such a stodgy tagline, but I kind of liked it. Work wide for Passport is definitely a killer campaign name. What do you guys think of 10.3.1? I was just showing it off a little bit earlier. The SDK went gold, so there's a developer OS available and the new SDK for actually building and compiling your applications.
Mm-hmm.
I doubt any of our developers here have actually gone ahead and actually used it. What's your take on that? You guys really want to have the device in market before you start kind of fiddling, right?
Yeah. Well, no, I just didn't download the SDK just because I haven't had a chance to. I've been working some pretty long hours, so I haven't had a chance to actually get my developer device and just download it and play around with it. Overall, I've been testing on 10.3.1 leaks anyways on some other devices I have.
Mm-hmm.
So I can't imagine it being too different. And maybe that's just why there isn't as much of an urgency for me to download it.
Right, and we're using 10.3.1 on devices that are not necessarily optimized for,
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I mean that was pretty much the thing where I really think this Gold SDK is mainly meant for being able to utilize the classic and the trackpad on it, being able to change the highlighting colors and doing that kind of stuff. And even with the Passport, I didn't really want to develop or try and deal with the simulator to develop it because a few of my friends, they were developing using the simulator and padding was off and they were running into all these problems, and once I got a Passport, they were sending me their bar files to test on the actual device.
Mm-hmm.
So they spent so much time dealing with that. So I'd rather, get a classic in hand or it's really just tough to use a simulator, especially for a trackpad. You
And
can't
the,
like
and the,
mirror.
yeah, and the thing too is a lot of stuff that gets added in. If you have an app already, it's not really like huge things that you have to do to make it ready for the device. So it's not like you have to prepare months in advance for a lot of the classic stuff. For some of the physical button actions, you can probably add that in like one sitting if you don't have a too complex of an app.
One sitting, a bowl of ramen, you can get it done. So it's going gold. You guys think basically just stuff for the classic and in preparation thereof. What were some of the other things on the roadmap? I mean, was there any Android runtime improvements from 10.3 to 3.1? Because at least in my uses, when using Passport on 3 and then 3.1, it does seem a little bit faster. I mean, I think it's interesting to see. I think Derek tweeted this out that Firefox on Passport just lights up instantly because it's built mainly with the Android NDK. So if I just launch it up here, in a matter of seconds, it's up and running and ready to go. As opposed to some other Android apps with a lot more Chrome and stuff going on, it takes a little bit longer. So some of the optimizations I've seen are pretty cool. Within the Firefox app, actually, is pretty interesting. They have a Firefox marketplace for their mobile web browser. So you can actually download HTML5 applications into Firefox and then launch them within the browser. So I've got like an Outlook application that is built into Firefox to allow me to look at my emails. I mean, I've got them in Hub already, so I don't really need it. But it's cool at least to see some of what Firefox is doing with their, they've got their Firefox or Fire OS or Firefox OS that they're building out, which is totally HTML5 based. So pretty cool. All that stuff seems ready to go here on BlackBerry 10.3.1. I do miss Flash in the browser, surprisingly.
Yeah.
A couple, like 2 or 3 straggler websites I go to still are using Flash as their default medium of video viewing.
I think it's still honestly a little too early for BlackBerry to take it away, but I mean, you understand why clearly, but I mean, it's just I don't really think there should be an OS. I think there should really be like a date, and at that point is when the OS can be issued, stating on this date, 2015. BlackBerry operating systems will not, support Flash anymore, and immediately on that date, boom, you issue an OS. Cool, but
it's like they're taking it away early, Darius.
Right.
Yeah, we're not supposed to have this OS until next year, or late December. So they haven't taken away anything yet.
True. No, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong, but I just think it shouldn't stop with 3.1. I think it should continue. At least it just support, like, why not support it? You know what I mean? Especially when you do have a lot of sites out there that still use it. I mean, a lot of them are going to the HTML5 format, but Flash still exists. it still does, and it's going to be relevant at least for another 2 years, 2 to 3, I would say. But
have they officially announced that Flash support is done? I know that they've done Air, like Adobe Air support is done.
No,
and
nothing official. Yeah, nothing official, but
nothing official.
Yeah, I haven't heard Flash.
Yeah, forward looking up, just from all the leaks and everything, we've been able to see that Flash is not in there, and it's frustrating. But it kind of makes sense, because if they're dropping Adobe Air, chances are they'd be dropping Adobe Flash, because I'm assuming it's a licensing thing. Like they're probably paying something to get it.
Right.
But it's kind of like Flash is built into like every web browser, like computer wise. So I don't know if you have to like license Flash, or if that's just like a thing. But it might be coming back into the browser, I guess.
I mean, it could be with 3.1. I mean, it's just the leaks that have been out there, it's not included. But it could be, because it's there, but it's not there. You understand what I'm saying? Like, it shows Flash, but it doesn't give you a version or anything of that nature. So it's not necessarily saying that, because if it wasn't there at all, then it would say nothing about Flash. You wouldn't even find any reminiscence of Flash within OS and within the change laws and things of that nature. But you see it, it's just not available within these leaks that have been coming out. So, I mean, I honestly, I'm sure it'll possibly still be available with 3.1.
Moral of the story: Don't judge a leak by its cover.
Right, right, exactly. And that's the thing about leaks. You know, people get so pressed on these leaks. And me personally, don't get me wrong, I want to use 3.1, but I'm not like rushing to it when as soon as it comes out. I don't care. Like I'm very content with 10.3. I really am. I mean, it's just one thing about it is for those who rush to
You have
leaks.
one thing about it. You have a passport.
Yeah,
You know?
that's exactly what I was going to get to. Those who rush to leaks are older device users, so they want to like it gives that refresh to your device. So if you have a passport, you're like, I really could care less about anything leaking right now,
Hmm.
and I don't mean that in
Yeah.
a that type of content. But no, like you're fine with that device. Even if you have a Z30, like if you have 10.3, you'll be okay with just 10.3. You don't really need 3.1. But once it comes official, the optimizations and everything will be there. I know me personally using a passport on AT&T's network. Um, I'm really truly waiting for the official, OSs to come out. Why? Because I need that optimization for AT&T's network. The radios just suck. I mean, I get LTE, I do, but it's too much of going back and forth between 4G and LTE. Even when I make a phone call, it goes right to 4G, but it takes a while for it to come back into LTE. And so a lot of times I find myself, pulling down the quick settings menu, turning my radio off, and then turning it back on to catch it. And it really does suck. But I mean, you have to wait for those official, OSs to come through because that's the reason why these carriers do the testing for it. They want to make sure that it's right. And not necessarily they take forever and it still gets right, but it's going to be the best thing that you need for their device specifically on that network. So,
Yeah, AT&T will wait 6 months and then the OS will
oh
still
yeah,
suck.
still yes,
Yeah,
but
it's pretty awful. It's pretty awful. But I digress. SDK Gold, developers go get it. Get your apps ready for Classic. Because it's going to sell like hotcakes. You know what else is going to sell like hotcakes? Red and white passports. Who's getting one? I'm getting one of each. No, I'm just kidding. I'm not. I don't sell drugs, so I cannot have a white passport. No, it's I think Marvin in our group will get a white passport. So he's got a white Z30 right now.
Nice.
It's interesting the pricing right now. Passport US $4.99 on the Black Friday deal. Supposedly white will become available sometime in December for around $6.99. Chen had mentioned at the last Enterprise event that they intended to have the red passport device in limited availability on Black Friday for a price of $6.99 as well. $200 price hike there. How do you guys feel about it? Does it deter you from wanting to get one?
yes.
What deters me from not having it? You can't get it on Verizon. That's number one deterring me.
That's Verizon deterring you, bro.
Yeah.
Totally them. And I get it. They want an official IMEI on their thing, but at the same point, it's like I wish BlackBerry was able to put a device out there that was cross-carrier and no one had a problem with it, you know?
Yeah.
It's just paying an additional almost $200 for just the color is pretty stupid now. In terms of that Black Friday, sales and what they having is pretty remarkable. Like that's you have to get on top of that if you're been wanting like a new device. Like you have to really take advantage of that Black Friday sale and. You don't see any other, OEMs out there that are doing anything of that nature, like at all. I mean, you have, Best Buy that'll do these things on contract. Like you get the S5 for, like a penny or something like that, a 2-year contract. But I mean, they're flat out selling these devices that are fairly new at a very discounted price. And even if you like for myself, like I have a passport, but 225 for a Z30, you really cannot beat that. Like it really is tempting to get one just to say I have a Z30 and why? Because I got a brand new Z30 at 225. So what they're doing, the pricing is it's up and down. It's bittersweet with BlackBerry, but they're doing a lot of special things, and then with the red and white pricing is kind of crazy, but I guess they'll see it on the back end.
I
Yeah.
mean, they're doing limited quantity too. So I mean, I
How's
know.
that?
They've got 3 billion cash. Like, come on, it doesn't matter how
How's it
many they
real?
sell, as long
It's
as
like
they sell.
anything. It's like
How's it?
anything. I mean, like you have video games where it's like the exact same video game, but it's a limited edition version, so they tag on an extra, $40 to the price, and then it comes with like a little figurine. It's not catered towards the regular people. It's catered towards like the aficionados, like the people who stood in line the first day to get the passport. Those people are going to be the ones who are going to sell their existing passport and get the limited edition one.
Everyone with a crackberry.com account, you know?
Exactly. So I don't think it's going to really attract new people to get a passport. I just think it's going to leverage their existing user base to kind of shell out some more money and kind of.
All it does is
upgrade.
make me want to sell mine and get that one, you know?
Exactly.
It's like this is a vicious cycle, BlackBerry. You need to stop. I would like if it's an LE, maybe bump the storage, give me default 64, and then I'll pay 200. 100 for vanity, 100 for the extra storage that I could honestly get for like $30. But whatever, I'll give you that. No, I'm excited about them. I want to see what the pricing is like. Is it going to be available Amazon exclusively or Shop BlackBerry as well? And if in the U.S. it's available on Shop BlackBerry, can I use the PayPal flex pricing to pay for it across time? That'd be just interesting to see. I might hop on it if that's the case. So we did talk about that Black Friday deal as well. Let's talk. We'll close with the Rio rumors. Let's talk about Obama and his BlackBerry. I think it's really important that we talk about this, not because Obama is super important, but Obama, the British Chancellor, Angela Merkel, all these top government officials that are running their countries are doing so with a mobile device called a BlackBerry. And I think it's a valuable asset that BlackBerry has that, again, we are the tip of the pyramid while everyone else is below us supporting the general consumer. It's like we're at the top tier securing and mobilizing the best of the best.
Dude, it was almost like it could have been a commercial, though, like if you watched it, because he kind of, he runs back and he grabs it, and, one of the reporters asked what he forgot, and I feel like anyone would have just said, oh, I forgot my phone, because I would have said, oh, I forgot my phone. Like, if my buddy's like, pulls up, I jump the car, I was like, oh, shoot, I forgot my phone. That's what I'd say. But Obama goes, oh, I forgot my BlackBerry, and holds it up. And it's like, oh, I don't know. I don't know.
How dope would it be if he was holding the Rio?
Oh, shit.
Wow.
BlackBerry leaks, Obama edition.
It would have been dope if he was holding like a classic or a passport.
Right, if he was rocking some, like, a classic would have been dope. Like, unannounced, he's got that shit early.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's a legacy device, but it's like heavily modified too. Like, I think it's like a curve.
Yeah, I think it's.
It's a
I wanna
Bold
say
9900, I think,
Was
isn't it?
I don't
Is
think
it
so. I
like
think
a
it's.
model?
People were saying it was a curve.
I heard it was an older one, like a 8900, like
Yeah.
older device. But either way, yeah, they did modify it heavily. They took out microphones and took out the camera, obviously, and did a lot
So
of
the phone
modifications.
cannot be used as a phone.
It's strictly a secure email device for the president.
Actually, something interesting? I was on Reddit, and someone on the BlackBerry subreddit, someone was asking, they're like, are any of the new BlackBerry 10 devices, are there any of the models without a camera? Because my company requires me to have a phone without a camera for security reasons. And that brought up like an interesting kind of topic in my head. It was like, well, like BlackBerry is the most secure, but at the same time, there are still a lot of companies that require their personnel to have devices that don't have a camera specifically. And I'm wondering,
And Brandon, that you bring that up is so important, because if you have an iPhone, Android, BlackBerry, soon Windows phone, and it's on Bez, the IT admin can just be like, nope.
That's what disable the camera.
Yeah.
So there's absolutely a value proposition for it.
Is that on? Because you can see with like the like if you go on the carrier websites, Verizon, AT&T, Sprint, so have you, they still they have those older legacy devices, and it's like the BlackBerry Bold with camera or without camera. And I remember seeing that back in the day, but like, who the hell would want to get the phone without a camera? But it's for those purposes. But as you mentioned, James, with BES 12, you have the ability to disable the camera. So I mean, I hope that's one thing that he could bring up to his job. Like, maybe you guys need to change the software you guys are using, because BYOD is what's it right now. And one is because companies don't want to spend the money on buying devices for the employers. So, two, you're not going to stop your employees from buying devices without cameras. You might want to make sure that you have a secure, network system or infrastructure like BES 12 or something of that nature that is running, your company's well-being and have those features that are going to be able to do such. So, I mean, I don't know. I think a lot of companies nowadays are really still stuck in the past, which is crazy. But you see why there's still a lot of. It's a prime example is why is there still a lot of BlackBerry legacy users, because they're still stuck there when it comes to the enterprise spectrum. They don't want to change that, because it's worked for them so long. And so now that there's this new software and technology out there, they're like, cavemen to it. It's like seeing fire for the first time and understanding that, it's pretty cool. It can do a lot for you, but if you touch it, yeah, it will burn. But at the same time, use it for greater purpose. So,
your metaphors on Upstream are always just like beyond the point. Like they're so on it. Like we just need to capture this and bottle it and then sell it. We'll figure that out. Maybe next stream. It's just crazy. We've been doing this 6 months, guys. I mean, it seems like it seems like it's been like 2 months, maybe.
Wow.
Right now, I just like the fact that we've been doing it for that long is kind of and straight. Like even when we miss a day where they're trying to fill it in on a Wednesday or something, we need to figure out a more static time frame so people can jump on. Maybe Obama wants to come on. I don't know if. I don't know if his BlackBerry supports Flash.
They would not let him use Google Hangouts, I don't think.
We can get him on a secure link. Don't worry.
Yeah.
No, you know what? We'll send him an invite. We'll set up a BBM meeting. There we go. We'll set it up. So no, let's close. Let's talk about the BlackBerry Rio. This was a device that was teased over on N4BB. Lucas had been hinting about it on his Twitter feed. And as well did a post up about it. Essentially, not much more information other than it is a code name for a device in its infancy, a supposed high-end all-touch slated for 2015. Z50, maybe it's something else. What do you guys think this Rio device could be?
Bring it. Bring it.
Whatever it is, I want. Varies. Right.
Yeah, I mean, do you think it's going to just be an upgrade for the Z30, or is it going to be the one that might have the keyboard that you can like roll out or whatever? Like, do you think it's going to be?
Well, that's what I was going to say. Like, if they say it's a full, the high end full touch, then it's just a full touch. I can't see a keyboard with it. Then they would say it's another high end. Quarterly, device, but if they say it's a full touch, according to the rumors, I don't want people to sit here, because I hate when, especially BlackBerry consumers, when we get an itch, take a fucking mile with it, like.
Yo, this is already being written about in the forums right now.
Oh my god, people are eating this alive. Like, I had a couple of my friends are like, "Bro, did you hear? So what do you think about the Rio?" I'm like, I don't think anything of it. I thought the same shit about that Manitoba a couple months ago, and I got real excited for nothing.
I honestly think the Rio is gonna be a mid-range all-touch device like the Z30, like the Z10. It's gonna succeed those two all-touch devices at the 5-inch form factor, built by Foxconn. It's like following the same development schedule as the Z3, just for next year.
Yeah, and I think that's really what it's gonna be. It's just gonna be a successor to the Z30. I think it will be the same in size. I think it will have boosted specs. Of course, better screen resolution. It could have a different build in terms of a all stainless steel, which I would love to see, chassis and Gorilla Glass, and the works. I mean, I think that's essentially what it would be if we see a full touch. It'll just be a successor to the Z30. Nothing more, nothing less.
I don't think it will be quad core. I'll put it that way.
You don't think?
I don't think it's going to be a quad core all touch. I don't think it's going to be that kind of device. It's not a Hero all touch device. BlackBerry's not building those because no one's buying them. They're buying Hero iPhone 6s and Samsung S.
Did no one buy the Z30?
Right, like how big a launch was that for them?
But that was so carriers. That was carriers. Like, that wasn't BlackBerry.
That's what I'm saying. They fucked themselves. If BlackBerry, I'm telling you, BlackBerry did the Hero phone, and sold that shit like they've done the Passport, that shit's gonna do numbers.
I just think the hero phone is going to be something different, like a slider.
It might be
That's
smart.
specced up.
I don't
Yeah.
think that's going to be the hero phone though. Like a slider, I don't really think the
No.
slider's going to be, because you got to look at it as BlackBerry 10 being so gesture based of a OS. A full touch, there's nothing better than that of getting the BlackBerry 10 experience. Don't get me wrong, like the Passport is it's its own device in its own right. You know what I'm saying? It is what it is. It's like the holy grail of BlackBerry. But a full touch device of BlackBerry 10 software is just it's quintessentially what BlackBerry 10 is. It's all
Yeah.
gestures. You know, and as I've always said, I am a huge fan of the keyboard of the Passport, not putting none above it. But the virtual keyboard of BlackBerry 10 is one of one, and it's just hands down the best keyboard experiences you're gonna get. Like, straight up.
Yeah. Like one of the
Yeah.
best things I still love about BlackBerry 10 is that when I'm using my Z30 and I'm flicking the keys and chatting like that, it feels so good and natural to be able to flick those words into place and message
You're about
so
to get
quickly.
quoted on that one,
It
buddy.
just feels so good.
And natural. It's got to feel natural.
Yeah, it's
No one
organic.
likes that fake shit.
Everything's organic with Black. It's that. Well, that's what I want to say about BlackBerry 10 and what they've done in terms of pretty much since the Z30 and all the software updates to the Passport, and now with the Classic, everything's organic. You understand what I'm saying? Like it's completely organic. It's nothing that they're trying to force. It's nothing that they're trying to change people to like and things of that nature. Like I don't feel like the Passport is anything to change you to like, because even when you start using the Passport initially, like we'll take Brandon for example, right? He's never used a Passport. He's never seen one day in his life. He's never had it in his hand, right? He buys one. He's using it, and this is the experience that I had. For the first 10 minutes, I'm using the Passport. I'm like, cool. I go back and I pick up my Z10. And I'm like, what the fuck? Because you organically, you just it just settles with you that quick that you don't even realize what that device has done for you already. So, and it's crazy, but when you have to look at a wider picture, it makes all of the difference in the world. It really does. And I mean, it's gonna take you a lot longer to get back acclimated to a Z10 than it would to a Passport or any other. I mean, opposed to any other device. Like, it's just what
Absolutely.
they've done with everything so far is just an organic, experience and an organic feel, and you have to really kind of tip your hats to BlackBerry for that. So I'm really appreciative of what they've done so far.
I don't wear hats, but I will curl a bit of my fro toward BlackBerry on that one. No, but I honestly think that beginning of next year, they are going to come out with some type of all-touch device, and then I think tease some kind of concept new age device that we may see toward the latter end of 2015. Maybe along a refresh of one of their other devices like the Classic and/or Passport. I'm just excited about what they've got coming forward. We've got the Classic launch event on the 17th of next month. We're going to have some good coverage there. Let's talk very quickly. We'll wrap this up. Maybe a couple more minutes on this thing. We'll let Ronell get his little bit in. When we talk about BBM video and BBM meetings, what do you guys think is going to actually become of peer-to-peer BBM video cross-platform? It's like right now I can do a meeting cross-platform, but I can't actually have a one-on-one conversation on video cross-platform. Do you think they're going to tie that into some kind of premium BBM feature set? You get retracted messages, you get videos, you get timed messages as part of some premium BBM experience that also gives you some sort of access to BBM meetings?
Well,
What do you guys think?
with meetings, I think you have to have it cross-platform right now. Just a simple fact, because if you want to get the full potential of BBM meetings, that feature itself, if you had it just BBM or BlackBerry to BlackBerry and so on and so forth, like it would suck. Like the whole point of it is if I'm running a business and I know my counterparters and whoever I'm working with all use totally different devices, I need to be able to be cross-platform with them. But as far as for regular degulars like us who work a 9 to 5 every day, if we want to pay for that service or if we want to get that feature, then I think essentially, yeah, I think you would end up having to pay to have those premium features. But we need to see BBM video just go cross-platform before anything. To be honest with you, like
But
that's one thing.
I think they're gonna charge people for it.
Yeah, I mean, the people we've been asked.
Only way it's gonna come about, in my opinion.
Yeah, I mean, people have been wondering what is BBM Premium going to be for consumer, and you know, Retract is cool, but I really have not used it much. I only used it to test it. As weird as that is, I've only used it to test it. I have not really used it to. Okay, not Retract. Actually, like the time messages. I genuinely used Retract the other day because I totally messaged the wrong person, and it was nothing like private or personal. It was just like, hey man. And I was like, oh, it was the wrong person, so I retracted. It's not like it saved my life or anything. If otherwise, I would just been like, hey, sorry, but he probably sees retract and like, wait, what's going on? So it really didn't help that much. But in terms of what will I pay a premium for, I think BBM meetings, just for the one-on-one cross-platform, you know, video
Right.
messaging, I think that could possibly be one of the things that would allow people to actually want to buy it.
Like I would pay like $2 or $3, maybe $5 a year if you give
Yeah.
me that. You know, give me at least a one-on-one cross-platform and maybe some kind of pay-on additive to get full meetings. I just it's interesting because right now they're at the 150 outright invoice when you get it for an enterprise or get it for your company, and again you're charging the host. So if one of us buys it, all of us can use it. You could literally be like, James, set me up a BBM meeting real quick. You get a couple people on, I leave the call, and you can continue going on ahead with it. So interesting overall. We apologize for Brandon. Roger's internet is not the best where he is. I think he is literally like in the frozen tundra. he's up there. But yeah, he dropped out here. Ronell, what was the point you wanted to bring up?
Yeah, you know what? I'll leave this on a note, and probably everybody's probably gonna be like, "Whoa!" But not that I know anything, but if we watch the IoT space pretty closely, and things really do take off next year, you might see a partnership or a BlackBerry device, per se, but not a smartphone, but something else, right? Because that's what everybody's been talking about. Apple's trying to enter a new product market, and Samsung's already in IoT somewhat with their washers and dryers and everything.
Yep.
You're probably going to see BlackBerry enter some type of new space next year, and it'll make people even rethink the company even more. I think they're banking on something like that next year, but that's something to look out for.
I definitely agree with you. They have a competitive advantage to bringing embedded devices to market, really in a secure manner, end to end, like nobody else can. So we will close with that, Ronella. Give people a lot to think about. I just want everyone to at least say what they do. I'm James. I'm the founder of BerryFlow.com. We have Alex, Darius, and Ronell here as well. Alex, what do you do?
I actually founded the company Cyberbytes Inc. We're a branding and web design company. So pretty much front-end developer, and I do some app development on the side.
How long have you been a BlackBerry user?
Oh boy, I think I remember in high school I was talking to my buddies about my new 9650. So I think I've been one for maybe 7 years now. So pretty long. I sold a lot of people on it throughout the days.
You're definitely a conversionist. I'll give you that. Darius, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Yeah, I'm active duty in the U.S. Army. And you know, I'm a BlackBerry user. I've probably been a BlackBerry user since 2008 is when I converted over. Before then, I just used like Windows mobile devices. I remember I had to like it was the HTC Tilt 2 and all that. Yeah, I even had the HTC Wing like with Sprint, like that big ass phone. Now I think of it, but I've been using BlackBerry devices since 2008. I mean, I kind of started growing on it beforehand. I can't even lie. Like a friend of mine, he's been a long time BlackBerry user, like from the first Pearl all the way down. Now I think he still uses a Q10, but it's been through hell. But he's loyal, he's a BlackBerry loyalist, and he put me on, and I've been hooked ever since, and love every minute of it. So yeah, I mean.
Well, thank you for your service, Darius.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Ronell, close it out here for us. Tell us a little bit about your background and how long you've been a BlackBerry user.
Cool. Well, I'm a computer technician, FE shop. I'm also a BlackBerry rep for the Toronto region. Being a BlackBerry user for my first phone was the Pearl. I cannot remember. Probably over what 7 years I've been a BlackBerry user. So I had the first Pearl, and then I was in high school, grade 9 at the time. Spent my first paycheck on it, and I couldn't upgrade. I didn't want to go to the one with Wi-Fi. Couldn't afford it, so I jumped from a Pearl to 9700, and then from there it was all hell broke loose. It was BlackBerry from then on.
They start piling up. I know exactly how that goes.
Exactly. You know how it is.
Well, I appreciate, as always, having you guys on Upstream. We're 6 months in. Hopefully, we'll have another 6 months ahead of us. I appreciate having you guys on. You have a great rest of your night.
All right.
Hey guys, we the North.
We the North, says the guy in Florida.